The Quiet Warrior. Jaden Carter's world had shrunk to a single, sterile room on the third floor of St. Joseph's Children's Hospital. At 12 years old, he had faced more challenges than most people see in a lifetime. A rare and relentless illness had gradually stolen the life he once knew. A life filled with basketball games, schoolyard banter, and afternoons spent chasing his older brother Marcus across their backyard. Now his days were a blur of IV drips, beeping monitors, and the rhythmic shuffle of nurses' sneakers on polished linoleum floors. He had memorized the patterns on the ceiling tiles above his bed, counting them over and over to pass the long hours. The walls, once stark and cold, had gradually been adorned with bright crayon-colored drawings from his classmates and photos of his family's happier times. Despite everything, Jaden refused to let the sadness in. His spirit was quiet but unyielding, like a flame that wouldn't be snuffed out no matter how fierce the wind. On a cold December morning, Jaden's mom, Lisa, walked into the room carrying 2 cups of hot cocoa, one for her and one for Marcus, who had been sitting vigil at Jaden's bedside for hours. She glanced at her youngest son, her heart aching as she noticed how pale he had grown. His once lively brown eyes were now surrounded by dark shadows, but they still carried a spark of humor that refused to fade. "Morning, kiddo," Lisa said, forcing a cheerful tone as she set the cups down. "Guess what? I brought your favorite breakfast today. Pancakes shaped like dinosaurs." Jaden looked up, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Mom, I'm not 5 anymore." "Dinosaurs are for babies," he teased, though his raspy voice betrayed his exhaustion. "Yeah, but you still love them," Lisa quipped, ruffling his hair. "Don't lie to your mother." Marcus chuckled from his chair by the window. "She's right, Jay. Remember when you made me watch that dinosaur documentary like 1,000,000 times? Jaden smirked. "That's because you kept falling asleep. I had to make sure you actually learned something." Lisa laughed, grateful for the moment of levity. She sat on the edge of Jaden's bed, taking his hand in hers. The warmth of his tiny fingers was a reminder of the fragility of their time together. Every moment mattered now, more than ever. A quiet conversation. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the hospital room in shades of gold and amber, Jaden turned to his mom with a thoughtful expression. "Mom," he began softly, his voice barely above a whisper, "do you ever think about what happens next?" Lisa's breath caught in her throat. She set aside the book she'd been pretending to read and looked at him, her heart heavy. "What do you mean, Jay?" "I mean, after all this," Jaden said, gesturing weakly at the room around him. "After me, what do you think happens?" Lisa's chest tightened. It was a conversation she had dreaded but knew was inevitable. She swallowed hard, searching for the right words. I think that love never really goes away," she said carefully. "Even if we can't see someone anymore, the love we shared stays with us. It's like a light that never goes out." Jaden nodded slowly, his gaze distant. "I like that," he said after a pause. "A light that never goes out." Lisa fought back tears, determined to stay strong for her son. "And you, my brave boy, are one of the brightest lights I have ever known." Jaden gave her a faint smile, his eyes glistening. "Thanks, Mom," he whispered. "A bag of surprises." The next day, Jaden's teacher, Mr. Ellis, made an unexpected visit. The tall, cheerful man walked into the room carrying a bright gift bag, overflowing with cards and notes from Jaden's classmates. "Hey, champ," Mr. Ellis greeted, pulling up a chair beside Jaden's bed. "The kids at school miss you so much. They decided to send you a little something." Jaden's tired eyes lit up as he reached for the bag. He rummaged through the notes, laughing softly at the colorful drawings and heartfelt messages. One card, in particular, caught his attention. It was decorated with a lopsided basketball and a stick figure that was supposed to resemble Jaden. "This one's from Chris," Jaden said, squinting at the messy handwriting. "Tell him his drawings are still awful." Mr. Ellis chuckled. "Will do, but hey, I've got another idea. How about we record a little video for your classmates? They'd love to hear from you. Jaden hesitated, his brow furrowing. You think so? Absolutely, Lisa chimed in. It doesn't have to be long. Just say whatever you feel like. After some coaxing, Jaden agreed. Lisa held up her phone as Jaden mustered his energy for the short recording. Despite his weariness, he managed to smile. Hey guys, he said into the camera. Just wanted to say I miss you all, even math class. Don't tell Mr. Carter I said that. He chuckled softly, his voice filled with a warmth that belied his condition. Keep playing basketball for me, okay? And thanks for the cards and notes. They're awesome. When the recording was done, Jaden leaned back against his pillows, visibly drained but satisfied. You think they'll like it? He asked. They'll love it, Lisa assured him, planting a kiss on his forehead. A viral sensation. The video made its way to Jaden's classmates first, but it didn't stop there. Parents shared it with their friends, who shared it with theirs. Within days, the heartfelt message from the brave 12-year-old spread like wildfire across social media. Strangers from all corners of the world commented on the video, praising Jaden's courage and resilience. Lisa's phone buzzed incessantly with notifications. One morning, as she scrolled through the comments, she came across a message that left her speechless. It was from someone named Steph Curry, a message that changes everything. The following morning dawned like any other at St. Joseph's Children's Hospital, quiet, subdued, and tinged with an unspoken heaviness. For Jaden, it was just another day in a blur of routine. Nurses came and went, his mom stayed glued to her chair beside his bed, and Marcus scrolled through his phone, trying to hide the worry etched into his face. Jaden had no idea that the world outside his hospital room was buzzing with excitement about his story. Lisa, on the other hand, knew something extraordinary was happening. Her phone had been flooded with messages all night, each notification a reminder that Jaden's simple video had touched the hearts of countless strangers. But none of those messages had prepared her for the one she saw when she opened her inbox that morning. The subject line read, "From Steph Curry's team. Let's make something happen." Lisa blinked, rereading the words to make sure she wasn't imagining things. The email was brief but unmistakably genuine. It explained that Steph Curry, the NBA superstar, had come across Jaden's video and been deeply moved by his strength and humor. He wanted to visit Jaden in person. Lisa's heart raced as she read the email aloud to Marcus, who merely dropped his phone in disbelief. Steph Curry. As in the Steph Curry. No way, Mom, Marcus exclaimed. Yes way. Lisa replied, her voice a mixture of excitement and disbelief. I don't know how this happened, but it's real. They want to coordinate a visit. What are you waiting for? Right back, Marcus urged, practically bouncing in his chair. Lisa took a deep breath and began typing a response. Meanwhile, Marcus couldn't contain his excitement. Jaden's going to freak out, he said, grinning from ear to ear. The news breaks. Lisa decided to keep the news a secret from Jaden. For now, she wanted to make sure everything was finalized before telling him. But as the hours passed, the excitement in the hospital grew impossible to contain. Nurses whispered about the email, and even the hospital administrator stopped by to ask if the rumor was true. By the time the official confirmation came in, the entire staff was buzzing with anticipation. Steph Curry was coming, and he wasn't just visiting. He was bringing gifts for the hospital and wanted to spend real, meaningful time with Jaden. Lisa finally broke the news to Jaden that evening. As the sun cast warm, golden rays through the window, she pulled up a chair beside his bed and took his hand. Jay, she began, her voice trembling slightly. I have something to tell you. Someone very special saw your video. Jaden's brow furrowed in confusion. Who? Steph Curry, Lisa said, her voice barely above a whisper. Jaden froze, his tired eyes widening in disbelief. Steph Curry, the basketball player. The Steph Curry. Lisa nodded, smiling through her tears. He saw your video, Jay, and he wants to meet you. For a moment, Jaden was silent, his mind racing to process the news. "No way," he finally said, his voice filled with awe. "Why would someone like him care about me?" "Because you're amazing," Lisa said, squeezing his hand. "Because you've touched more hearts than you can imagine." Preparing for a star. The next day was a whirlwind of preparation. Nurses fluffed pillows, straightened blankets, and even brought in a small basketball hoop to hang on the wall. Marcus couldn't stop pacing, his excitement infectious. He kept brainstorming questions he wanted to ask Steph. "Do you think he'll let me take a selfie with him? What if he gives us tickets to a game?" Marcus mused aloud, his voice brimming with enthusiasm. "Relax, Marcus," Jaden said with a grin. "You're acting like he's coming to see you." Lisa laughed, watching the brothers banter. For the first time in weeks, the room felt alive with joy. When the knock finally came at the door, the room fell silent. Lisa opened it to reveal a man who looked both ordinary and extraordinary at the same time. Steph Curry stood there in a simple hoodie and jeans, holding a basketball under one arm. His warm smile instantly lit up the room. "Jaden," Steph said, stepping inside. "What's up, little man?" Jaden stared, speechless. For the first time in a long time, he didn't know what to say. Steph crossed the room and knelt beside Jaden's bed, extending a hand for a fist bump. "I've been hearing a lot about you," Steph said, his tone easy and genuine. "You're kind of a big deal." Jaden finally found his voice. I don't know about that," he stammered. "You're the big deal." Steph laughed, the sound warm and reassuring. "Nah, man, you're the real MVP here. An unforgettable connection." For the next hour, the hospital room was transformed into a haven of laughter and camaraderie. Steph asked Jaden about his favorite basketball players, his favorite teams, and even his least favorite teams, to which Jaden sheepishly admitted that he used to root for the Lakers, much to Steph's mock horror. "Lakers? Man, you're lucky I'm a forgiving guy," Steph teased, grinning. Jaden laughed harder than he had in weeks, the sound like music to Lisa's ears. Steph didn't just talk, he listened. He asked Jaden about his life, his dreams, and even his struggles. For Jaden, it was more than just a conversation. It was validation that he mattered, that he wasn't just a kid in a hospital bed, but a person with a story worth hearing. At one point, Steph pulled out the basketball he'd been holding. It was signed in bold silver letters, with a personal message for Jaden. "To the toughest player I know, keep fighting. Steph Curry." Jaden held the ball like it was a treasure, his fingers tracing the signature. This is the coolest thing ever," he said, his voice filled with awe. "It's not just a basketball," Steph said, his tone serious. "It's a promise. When you're ready to get back on the court, I'm going to teach you some moves. Deal?" Jaden's eyes sparkled with a mix of joy and disbelief. Deal? More than a visit. Before leaving, Steph did something that left everyone in the room speechless. He pulled out a small envelope and handed it to Lisa. "This is for your family," he said simply. Inside was a check, a substantial donation to help cover Jaden's medical bills and support the hospital that had been caring for him. Lisa's eyes filled with tears as she tried to find the words to thank him, but Steph waved her off. "No need to thank me," he said. "This is all about Jaden. He's the one inspiring all of us." As Steph said his goodbyes, he turned back to Jaden one last time. "Remember, little man," he said, pointing at him, "you're stronger than you think. And when you're ready, the court's waiting for you." Jaden nodded, clutching the basketball to his chest. "Thanks, Steph, for everything." The ripple effect of hope. The days following Steph Curry's visit felt like a dream for Jaden and his family. The hospital room, once a place of quiet resilience, had transformed into a hub of energy and joy. Nurses, doctors, and even hospital staff who barely knew Jaden stopped by to share in the excitement. Everyone marveled at the kindness Steph had shown. But for Jaden, the visit was more than just a celebrity encounter. It was a spark of something greater. Jaden now held on to something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. A new energy. Steph's parting words lingered in Jaden's mind. "You're stronger than you think." They replayed in his thoughts as he stared at the basketball signed in shimmering silver ink, which now sat proudly on a shelf by his bed. Every time he glanced at it, he felt a quiet determination building within him. The following morning, as sunlight poured through the hospital window, Jaden asked his mom for something that caught her completely off guard. "Mom, can I try to stand up today?" he asked, his voice steady despite his frailty. Lisa blinked, stunned. "Jay, are you sure? You've been so tired lately." "I'm sure," Jaden said, his eyes fixed on the basketball. Steph said, "I'm strong. I want to prove him right." Lisa hesitated, her heart aching with both pride and worry. But the fire in her son's eyes convinced her. With the help of a nurse, she carefully eased Jaden out of bed. His legs wobbled under the weight of his small frame, but he gritted his teeth and stood for the first time in weeks. Though the effort left him breathless, Jaden managed a smile. "See, told you I could do it," he said, his voice laced with pride. Lisa's eyes brimmed with tears. "You're amazing, Jay. Absolutely amazing." Word of Jaden's determination spread quickly throughout the hospital. Staff members began stopping by more frequently to cheer him on, and a small basketball hoop was set up in his room. Jaden began practicing short, gentle tosses from his bed. Each shot met with applause from anyone nearby. The video that went viral again. Unbeknownst to Jaden, Steph Curry's visit had also sparked something extraordinary online. The hospital staff had shared a short clip of Steph talking to Jaden, and within hours, it had gone viral. The video showed the NBA star leaning close to Jaden, listening intently as the young boy spoke about his love for basketball and the energy of the game. The caption read, "When the strongest player isn't on the court, but in a hospital bed. #Team Jaden, #Stay strong." The video spread like wildfire, capturing the hearts of millions. Celebrities, athletes, and even strangers around the globe shared messages of support for Jaden. Hashtags like #Team Jaden and #JadenStrong began trending on social media, and fan art depicting Jaden holding his signed basketball flooded Twitter and Instagram. One message in particular stood out, a tweet from LeBron James. "Kids like Jaden remind us all what real strength looks like. Keep fighting, young king. The game's waiting for you. #Team Jaden." When Lisa saw the tweet, she gasped audibly. "Jay, you're not going to believe this," she said, showing him her phone. Jaden's eyes widened as he read the message. "LeBron James," he whispered. "No way. This can't be real." "It's real," Lisa said, beaming. "The whole world is rooting for you, Jay. A town comes together." As news of Jaden's story continued to spread, something remarkable began to happen in his small hometown. Inspired by his courage, the community rallied together in an unprecedented show of support. Jaden's school hosted a fundraiser to help cover his medical bills, organizing a Team Jaden basketball tournament, where students, parents, and teachers played side by side. The local bakery began selling cookies shaped like basketballs, with all proceeds going to Jaden's family. A nearby sports store even donated jerseys with Jaden's name printed on the back, which quickly sold out. But the most touching gesture came from Jaden's classmates. One afternoon, Mr. Ellis returned to the hospital with a surprise. He handed Jaden a scrapbook filled with handwritten letters, drawings, and photos from his friends at school. On the first page was a bold message written in bright marker, "Jaden's Court, where strength meets heart." Jaden flipped through the pages, his face lighting up with each heartfelt note. "This is so cool," he said, his voice filled with awe. "I can't believe they did all this for me." "You've inspired all of us, Jay," Mr. Ellis said, his voice thick with emotion. "You've shown us what it means to keep fighting, no matter what." An unexpected gift. Just when Jaden thought the surprises were over, another one arrived that left him speechless. One evening, as he was practicing his basketball shots from bed, a nurse walked in with a package. It was large and carefully wrapped, with a note attached to the front. Lisa opened the note and read it aloud. Jaden, every great player needs great equipment. Hope this helps you get back in the game. Your friends at Under Armour. Inside the package was a custom pair of Steph Curry's signature basketball shoes, designed in Jaden's favorite colors, red and gold. The shoes bore the words "Stay Strong" embroidered along the side, along with Jaden's name. Jaden stared at the shoes, his mouth agape. These are for me?" he asked, his voice trembling. "All yours," Lisa said, her smile wide. "Looks like you've got a fan club." Jaden carefully picked up one of the shoes, his fingers tracing the stitching. "These are the coolest shoes ever," he said softly. "I can't wait to wear them." The ripple grows. Jaden's story began to inspire more than just his hometown. Donations poured in from around the world, supporting not only Jaden's family, but also the hospital that had become his second home. A foundation was even started in Jaden's name to help other children facing serious illnesses pursue their passions, whether it was sports, art, or music. One day, as Lisa scrolled through her email, she came across a message from a woman in another state. It read, "My son has been struggling with leukemia, and watching Jaden's story gave him the strength to keep going. Thank you for sharing your light with the world." Lisa's eyes filled with tears as she read the message. She turned to Jaden, who was busy practicing his shots. "Jay," she said, her voice trembling, "do you know how many people you've helped just by being you?" Jaden looked up, puzzled. "Helped? How?" "You've shown them that no matter how hard life gets, there's always a reason to keep fighting," Lisa said. "You're changing lives, Jay." Jaden paused, the weight of her words sinking in. He smiled faintly, his eyes shining with a quiet strength. "If I can help someone else feel strong," he said, "then maybe all of this is worth it." Chasing the dream. Jaden's days began to feel brighter as the weeks went by. The spark ignited by Steph Curry's visit and the overwhelming support from his community had transformed the hospital room that once felt isolating into a space of possibility and purpose. Jaden no longer focused on the ceiling tiles or counted the minutes ticking by. Instead, he thought about the day he'd step back onto the basketball court, the day he proved to himself and to the world that he was still the player he had always been. A bold decision. One crisp January morning, as sunlight poured through the window, Jaden surprised his mom with a bold request. "Mom," he began, his voice carrying an unusual certainty, "I want to play basketball again." Lisa, sitting by his bedside with a cup of coffee, merely spilled it in surprise. "Jay, that's wonderful. But are you sure? You've been so weak lately." "I know," Jaden said, his gaze steady. "But I'm tired of just lying here. I want to try, even if it's just a little. I want to see what I can do." Lisa hesitated, her heart torn between hope and worry. She knew how much basketball meant to Jaden. It had been his passion long before the illness had taken hold. But she also knew the toll his condition had taken on his body. "Jay, we'll have to talk to the doctors first," she said cautiously. "We need to make sure it's safe." Jaden nodded, determination etched into his face. "I'm ready to work for it, Mom. Whatever it takes." The doctor's verdict. Later that week, Jaden and Lisa met with Dr. Patel, his primary physician. Dr. Patel listened carefully as Jaden explained his desire to play basketball again, nodding thoughtfully as he spoke. "That's an ambitious goal, Jaden," she said with a warm smile. "But it's also a good one. Physical activity can be great for your mental and emotional well-being. The key is to start slow and build up gradually." "Does that mean I can try?" Jaden asked, his voice tinged with hope. "Yes," Dr. Patel said, her smile widening. "But we'll need to work with the physical therapy team to make sure you're doing it safely. It's going to take time and effort, but I believe you can do it." Jaden beamed, his excitement palpable. Thank you, Dr. Patel. I won't let you down. Back in training, the hospital's physical therapy room became Jaden's new sanctuary. Twice a day, he worked with a therapist named Nate, a former college basketball player who shared Jaden's love for the game. Nate tailored the sessions to Jaden's abilities, starting with basic exercises to rebuild his strength and coordination. At first, even the simplest tasks were exhausting. Holding a basketball felt heavy in Jaden's hands, and dribbling it for more than a few seconds left him winded. But Jaden didn't complain. He focused on each small victory, knowing that every step brought him closer to his dream. "You've got good instincts," Nate said one afternoon as Jaden practiced shooting from a seated position. "Your form's still solid. It's like riding a bike. You don't forget." Jaden grinned, sweat dripping down his face. "Maybe I'll teach you a trick or two when I'm back on the court." Nate laughed. "I'll hold you to that, champ." The big announcement. As Jaden's therapy progressed, word spread about his determination to play basketball again. His classmates, teachers, and even strangers who had followed his story on social media began to rally behind him. One day, Mr. Ellis visited Jaden with exciting news. "Jay," he said, pulling up a chair, "we got something special planned for you. The school is hosting a charity basketball game next month, and they want you to be the guest of honor." Jaden's eyes widened. "Me, but I'm not ready to play yet." "You don't have to play a full game," Mr. Ellis assured him. "But we were thinking, maybe you could make the first shot. What do you say?" Jaden hesitated, his mind racing. The idea of stepping onto the court again, even just for a moment, was thrilling and terrifying all at once. But then he thought about everything he had been through. The long nights in the hospital, the countless battles he had fought, and realized he wasn't just doing this for himself. He was doing it for everyone who had believed in him. "I'll do it," he said, his voice steady. "I'll make that shot." Preparing for the moment. The weeks leading up to the charity game were a whirlwind of preparation. Jaden threw himself into his therapy sessions with renewed vigor, pushing through the fatigue and soreness with a determination that inspired everyone around him. Lisa and Marcus watched in awe as Jaden grew stronger, his movements becoming more fluid and confident. One afternoon, Steph Curry surprised Jaden with a video call. "Hey, Jay," Steph said, grinning as his face appeared on the screen. "I heard about the big game. You ready to show them what you've got?" "I'm working on it," Jaden said, his cheeks flushing with excitement. "But I don't know if I'll be as good as you." Steph chuckled. "Listen, it's not about being perfect. It's about showing up and giving it your all. And knowing you, I've got no doubt you'll crush it. Just remember, keep your elbow in, follow through, and trust your shot." "I will," Jaden promised. "Thanks, Steph." The big day. The day of the charity game arrived with an electric energy. The school gym was packed with students, parents, and community members, all wearing Team Jaden t-shirts. Posters and banners adorned the walls, many of them featuring messages like, "Stay strong, Jaden," and "Our hero." Jaden, dressed in his custom red and gold sneakers and a jersey with his name on the back, sat in a wheelchair near the sideline. Though he was still regaining his strength, he felt ready for the moment ahead. As the announcer introduced him, the crowd erupted into cheers. Marcus wheeled him onto the court, where a small basketball hoop had been set up just for him. Jaden gripped the ball tightly, his heart pounding as he gazed at the sea of smiling faces. "You've got this," Marcus whispered, giving his shoulder a squeeze. Jaden nodded, taking a deep breath. With shaky hands, he stood from his wheelchair, the gym falling silent as everyone watched in anticipation. He steadied himself, adjusted his grip on the ball, and focused on the hoop. Then, with a smooth motion, he released the ball. A shot heard around the world. The ball arced through the air, spinning gently, as if it carried the weight of every hope, every prayer, and every ounce of determination that had brought Jaden to this moment. Time seemed to slow as it approached the hoop. The gym, packed with hundreds of supporters, was so silent you could hear a pin drop. Jaden's hand remained outstretched, his eyes locked on the ball's trajectory. When it hit the backboard and dropped neatly through the net, the crowd erupted into a deafening roar of cheers and applause. Jaden's face lit up in sheer disbelief. For a moment, he stood frozen, taking in the wave of noise and energy that filled the gym. Marcus rushed to his side, lifting him into a tight hug, while Lisa clapped her hands over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. "You did it, Jay," Marcus shouted, his voice trembling with pride. "I made it," Jaden whispered, his voice barely audible over the crowd. "I really made it." A magical moment. The celebration that followed was unlike anything the school had ever seen. Students spilled onto the court, surrounding Jaden in a sea of hugs and high fives. Teachers and parents cheered from the bleachers, many of them wiping tears from their eyes. Even the referee, a retired coach who had seen decades of games, stood by the sideline with a hand over his heart, visibly moved. The announcer's voice broke through the noise. "Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Jaden Carter, the toughest, most inspiring player we've ever seen." The applause grew even louder, echoing off the gym walls. Jaden, now seated back in his wheelchair, held the ball tightly in his lap. His cheeks were flushed, his eyes sparkling with joy. For the first time in a long time, he felt like himself again, not just a kid in a hospital bed, but a basketball player, a teammate, a fighter. Lisa knelt beside him, her voice trembling with emotion. "Jay, I hope you know how proud we are of you. You've shown everyone what it means to never give up." Jaden looked at her, his expression earnest. "It's not just me, Mom. I couldn't have done any of this without all of you." A community united. The charity game had been intended as a small fundraiser for Jaden's medical bills, but it quickly turned into a community-wide event that no one would forget. By the end of the evening, the school had raised tens of thousands of dollars, not just for Jaden's family, but for other children in the area who needed medical support. Local businesses had donated food, equipment, and prizes for a raffle, while students sold handmade Team Jaden merchandise. One student even auctioned off a pair of sneakers signed by an up-and-coming basketball star, which alone brought in several $1,000s. The principal of the school took the microphone during halftime, addressing the crowd with a heartfelt speech. "This game isn't just about basketball," she said. "It's about what Jaden has taught us. That strength isn't about how many points you score or how fast you run. It's about showing up, fighting through the hard times, and lifting each other up when we need it most. Jaden, you've given us more than you'll ever know." The ripple widens. As videos of Jaden's shots spread across social media, the story quickly went viral again. Clips of the moment were shared by celebrities, athletes, and influencers, each of them adding their own words of admiration and encouragement. The hashtags #TeamJaden and #JadenStrong trended for days, drawing attention from news outlets around the world. One particularly touching post came from Steph Curry himself. He shared the video of Jaden's shot on Instagram, writing, "My guy Jaden showing us all how it's done. Never underestimate the power of heart and determination. Proud of you, little man. Can't wait to see what you do next. #TeamJaden." The post garnered millions of likes and thousands of comments, with fans and fellow athletes praising Jaden's resilience. Jaden's story began to inspire a new wave of charitable efforts, with organizations using the hashtag to promote fundraising initiatives for children facing medical challenges. The game's aftermath. After the game, Jaden's family returned home to find their mailbox overflowing with letters and packages from people all over the world. Some contained heartfelt messages of support, while others included small gifts, basketballs, jerseys, books, and handmade crafts. One letter, written by a young boy in a neighboring town, stood out. "Dear Jaden," it read, "I'm not good at basketball like you, but I'm going to try because you showed me that I can do hard things too. Thank you for being so brave. Your friend, Caleb." Jaden read the letter aloud to his family, his voice cracking with emotion. "Mom," he said, looking up, "I didn't think I could inspire anyone. I'm just me." Lisa knelt beside him, her hand resting gently on his. "Jay, you're so much more than you think you are. You've given people hope. And that's the most powerful thing anyone can do. A glimmer of the future." In the weeks that followed, Jaden's health continued to improve. He threw himself into his physical therapy sessions with renewed determination, each day bringing him closer to his goal of playing a full game again. Though the road ahead was still uncertain, Jaden no longer felt weighed down by fear. He had something far more powerful: belief in himself, in his family, and in the incredible community that had rallied around him. One afternoon, as he practiced shooting hoops in his backyard, Jaden turned to Marcus with a grin. "Think I could make the team next year?" Marcus laughed, ruffling Jaden's hair. "You? Definitely. Just don't get too good, or you'll show me up." Jaden's laughter rang out, clear and free. For the first time in months, he wasn't thinking about what he had lost. He was thinking about everything he still had to gain. A legacy of hope. Months passed, and Jaden's life began to take on a rhythm he hadn't felt in years. Days at the hospital grew less frequent, his strength returned little by little, and he even found himself practicing basketball regularly in his backyard. The simple act of dribbling a ball, hearing the familiar sound of rubber bouncing on concrete, felt like reclaiming a part of himself that had been lost. But what Jaden didn't yet realize was that his story was far from over. What began as a single shot in a school gym was now rippling across the world in ways he could never have imagined. A surprise invitation. One sunny afternoon, as Jaden sat on the porch with Marcus tossing a basketball back and forth, Lisa stepped outside holding her phone, her face glowing with excitement. "Jay," she called out, trying to keep her voice steady, "you're not going to believe this." Jaden looked up, catching the ball with both hands. "What is it, Mom?" Lisa sat down beside him, her voice trembling slightly. "Steph Curry's team just called. They want you to come to San Francisco, to a Warriors game." Jaden's jaw dropped. "Wait, what?" "They want to fly us out," Lisa explained, her smile widening. "Steph said he wants you to be their guest of honor for the night, and he's got a little surprise planned for you." Jaden blinked, stunned. "I'm going to a Warriors game, and Steph Curry wants me there." Marcus laughed, clapping his brother on the back. "Looks like you've officially made it, Jay." Jaden grinned, his heart racing. "This is insane. I have to get ready. What should I wear? Do I need a suit? What if I mess up when I meet him?" Lisa chuckled. "Relax, kiddo. Just be yourself. That's more than enough." A night to remember. A week later, Jaden found himself stepping into the Chase Center, home of the Golden State Warriors. The energy of the arena was electric, the roar of the crowd vibrating through the air. Jaden wore a custom jersey with his name and the number 12, a nod to his age, gifted to him by the Warriors organization. Marcus walked beside him, carrying a camera to capture every moment, while Lisa held his hand tightly. As they made their way courtside, a cheer erupted from the crowd. Fans in the stands held up signs that read #TeamJaden and "Stay Strong, Jaden." Jaden waved shyly, his face lighting up with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. When Steph Curry appeared, jogging across the court toward him, the crowd's cheers reached a deafening pitch. Steph greeted Jaden with a big grin, kneeling down to give him a fist bump. "What's up, champ?" Steph said. "Ready for your big moment?" "My big moment?" Jaden asked, confused but thrilled. Steph winked. "You'll see." Center court. During halftime, the announcer's voice echoed through the arena. "Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have a very special guest with us. He's not just a fan, he's a fighter, an inspiration, and a reminder of what true strength looks like. Please give a warm Warriors welcome to Jaden Carter." The crowd erupted in applause as Jaden was wheeled to the center of the court. Steph stood beside him, holding a basketball in one hand and a microphone in the other. "This kid right here," Steph said, his voice carrying through the arena, "has shown us all what it means to never give up. Jaden, your story has touched more lives than you'll ever know. Tonight, we're here to celebrate you." Steph handed Jaden the basketball, gesturing toward the hoop. "Think you can make one more shot for us, champ?" Jaden's hands trembled slightly as he took the ball, but he nodded. The crowd grew quiet, every pair of eyes in the arena focused on him. With Steph's help, Jaden stood from his wheelchair. He steadied himself, took a deep breath, and let the ball fly. The swish of the net was met with an explosion of cheers and applause. Fans jumped to their feet, clapping and cheering as Jaden raised his arms in triumph. Steph hugged him tightly, lifting him off the ground as the crowd chanted his name. Jaden, Jaden, a greater purpose. After the game, Steph invited Jaden and his family to a private dinner with the team. The players greeted Jaden like an old friend, asking him about his favorite teams, his recovery journey, and his plans for the future. "What's next for you, Jay?" Steph asked during dessert, his tone warm and genuine. Jaden hesitated, looking down at his hands. "I want to play basketball again," he said quietly. "But I want to help other kids, like me." Steph nodded, his eyes lighting up. "That's a big dream, and I think you can do it. How about we make it happen together?" Jaden's eyes widened. "You mean it?" "Absolutely," Steph said. "Let's start something, maybe a foundation. We'll help kids get the support they need, whether it's through sports, medical care, or just reminding them they're not alone." Jaden couldn't believe what he was hearing. That would be amazing. The Jaden Carter Foundation. Over the following months, Steph kept his promise. Together with Jaden and his family, he helped launch the Jaden Carter Foundation, an organization dedicated to supporting children facing serious illnesses and encouraging them to pursue their passions. The foundation provided grants for medical bills, funded sports programs for kids in hospitals, and even hosted basketball clinics where children could learn from professionals. Jaden, now the face of the foundation, spoke at its launch event. Standing in front of a crowd of supporters, he shared his journey with a confidence and maturity that left everyone in awe. "When I was sick, I thought my story was over," he said. "But thanks to my family, my friends, and people like Steph, I realized it was just beginning. If my story can help even one person feel strong, then everything I've been through is worth it. Together, we can make sure no kid ever feels like they're fighting alone." A legacy of strength. Jaden's story continued to inspire countless people around the world. Through the foundation, he met children facing challenges similar to his own, offering them words of encouragement and reminding them of their own strength. His journey was even featured in a documentary, with proceeds going toward the foundation's mission. Years later, when Jaden stepped back onto the court for his first full game, the crowd that came to watch wasn't just there for basketball. They were there for the boy who had shown them all that no dream was too big, no challenge too great, and no heart too small to make a difference. And as the final buzzer sounded, Jaden raised his arms in triumph, a testament to everything he had overcome. His journey wasn't just about basketball anymore. It was about hope, resilience, and the power of believing in something greater than yourself. A legacy in motion. Jaden's journey as the face of the Jaden Carter Foundation was just beginning. The launch event was only the first step, but it marked the start of something far greater than even he could have imagined. The foundation's mission spread rapidly, inspiring partnerships with schools, hospitals, and professional sports teams across the country. Through it all, Jaden balanced his own recovery with his new role as a voice of hope for kids everywhere. A visit to the White House. Months after the foundation's launch, Jaden received an invitation that left him and his family speechless. He was invited to the White House to meet the president and be recognized for his contributions to the community. It was part of an annual event celebrating young leaders and changemakers who had made a significant impact in their fields. Dressed in a sharp navy blue suit, with his signature red and gold basketball shoes peeking out beneath his slacks, Jaden stood confidently as the president shook his hand. "Jaden," the president said, smiling warmly, "your story reminds all of us that courage and kindness can move mountains. You've not only inspired the nation, but also shown us the incredible power of resilience. We are proud to honor you today." Jaden beamed as applause filled the room. When he spoke, his voice was steady, clear, and filled with the wisdom of someone who had overcome more than most. "I'm just a kid who loves basketball," Jaden began. "But I've learned that even small acts, like a message to your friends or a single basketball shot, can make a big difference. I hope my story shows other kids that no matter how hard things get, there's always a reason to keep going." The room gave him a standing ovation. Cameras flashed, and reporters jotted down his every word, eager to share the inspiring message with the world. The global reach of Jaden's story. The recognition Jaden received at the White House catapulted the foundation to international fame. Offers poured in from organizations around the world, eager to partner with Jaden and expand the foundation's reach. Clinics for sick and recovering children began popping up in cities across the globe, each one carrying the tagline, "Where strength meets heart." One of the foundation's most ambitious projects was the construction of Jaden's Courts, accessible basketball courts in hospitals, community centers, and schools. These courts were designed to be inclusive, featuring adjustable hoops and soft surfaces that allowed kids of all abilities to play and feel like champions. During the opening ceremony of the first Jaden's Court in Los Angeles, Jaden took the microphone with a wide grin. "This court isn't just for basketball," he said. "It's for dreams. It's for kids who need a place to feel strong, even when life tries to knock them down. So grab a ball, take a shot, and never give up." Back on the court, while Jaden's work with the foundation kept him busy, he never lost sight of his personal dream: to play basketball again. With every passing day, he grew stronger. Physical therapy sessions turned into light practice games, and light practice games turned into full scrimmages. One year after his charity game shot, Jaden stepped onto the court for his middle school basketball team. It was his first game in years, and the stands were packed with fans wearing Team Jaden t-shirts. His mom, Marcus, and Steph Curry were all there, watching proudly from the front row. Jaden's coach subbed him in during the second quarter, and the crowd erupted in cheers. As he dribbled down the court, his heart pounded with both nerves and excitement. When he finally took his first shot, a three-pointer from just beyond the arc, the ball sailed cleanly through the net. The crowd went wild, chanting his name as his teammates swarmed him in celebration. For Jaden, it wasn't just a moment of triumph. It was proof that he had reclaimed the part of himself he thought he'd lost forever. A beacon of hope. As Jaden's story continued to grow, so did the impact of his foundation. Children and families from all walks of life reached out to share how Jaden's journey had inspired them to keep going, even in the face of overwhelming challenges. One letter, in particular, stayed with him. It was from a young girl named Mia who was undergoing treatment for a rare illness. She wrote, "Dear Jaden, I saw your video and it made me feel brave. When I'm scared, I think about your story and how you kept fighting. I hope I can be strong like you someday. Thank you for showing me that I'm not alone. Love, Mia." Jaden read the letter aloud to his family, tears streaming down his face. "If I can help kids like Mia feel brave," he said softly, "then everything I've been through is worth it." A future full of possibilities. Years later, Jaden would look back on his journey with gratitude, not just for the victories, but for the challenges that had shaped him into the person he had become. As a young adult, he continued to lead the foundation, speaking at schools, hospitals, and events around the world. He also pursued his dream of playing basketball at the collegiate level, becoming a symbol of perseverance for athletes everywhere. During an interview with a sports network, Jaden was asked what kept him motivated through the hardest times. He smiled, holding up the basketball Steph Curry had given him years earlier. "It's not about where you start or what you face," he said. "It's about believing in something bigger than yourself and never giving up." This ball reminds me that even the smallest shot can make the biggest difference. As the camera panned out, the image of Jaden holding his ball became a powerful symbol of hope for millions around the world. His story, which began in a hospital bed, had become a legacy that would inspire generations to come.